So let's assume you take out a 30-year loan. That 30-year loan, as per your loan documents, you'll be able to read up about this, will have in there a repayment schedule of 360 months, for which, yes, that is 30 years, for which the loan calculation is amortizing as per that schedule. So at the very start, at the peak level of your debt, the vast majority of the repayments that you are making are technically interest.
Boo!
And there's just a little slither of principal that you're starting to eat away.
It's a rort. We should start a bank, Ben.
We should, because at the end of the day, those 360 months are set repayment calculations based on the interest rate as per the principal and interest schedule. Okay, so when Tom is right, when he says, well, with interest only, it does have a massive cash flow impact because you're not paying any of that principal off, right? And again, if you also have loans set at 25 years or 30, and in some cases now lenders do 35 and 40-year lending, some of the second-tier lenders, that is basically saying that that amortization piece goes over longer, which means that the monthly repayments are impacted at a lower level, which means you improve your cash flow. So I did some investigation because it triggered me as well. So I went off and said, in Australia, the vast majority of our mainstream lenders use that methodology, right? So it basically means that, and even if I've got $100,000 sitting in an offset account and I've got a $500,000 loan, but I'm getting interest reduced or calculated on a $400,000 balance on a daily basis, my repayment schedule is still the same. So I couldn't find any respectable lenders that would actually make those adjustments in real time, because at the end of the day, they may be in breach of their obligations in terms of the contract that you've engaged with. Now, that said, I'll take a little bit of liberty here and just do a little side thing here. What we also know that if you do have a cash flow crisis, and this is anyone that we're talking to in our community, and you want to be able to improve or reduce the monthly repayments that you're making because you've hit a little cash flow crisis or whatever, you can talk to your bank about how you would potentially recalibrate that, right? So there's several ways in which you can recalibrate those repayments over the final term of the loan. So you can extend the loan term, which is one of the classic ways of doing it. You can forego any lending or any money in advance in redraw that you might have, and then they'll just recalibrate that, which means they'll set the new loan balance and then do the remaining term and calculate that. So that's another way in which you can do it in terms of adjusting cash flows. But the easiest way to adjust cash flows is to have interest only. The challenge with that, as we know, is that the banks will sting us a little bit extra in terms of the interest rate that we pay. It's not great, is it? And if it's an investment property, they'll even sting us again, in terms of a penalty of charging us high interest. There's no logical reason other than profitability that they're doing that, because there's no evidence to suggest that investors are more risky than owner-occupied borrowers. But unfortunately, that's the premium we have to pay under the current rules and regulations that we have. Now, hopefully one day a good lender will come into market. You're saying, Bryce, we should go and set up our own bank. If we ever do set up our own bank, guess what we're going to do? We're going to make sure that investors pay the same rate as owner-occupiers do. Wouldn't that be good?
Mate, then we'd be in the same alumni as Aussie John, who started it back in the 90s, Ben.
Yes, well, who made that change, who got that. So that's what competition does, and that's why free markets are always healthy for competition. Okay, so hopefully I've explained that in reasonable terms. Just think of a loan amortizing over time. It's those repayments are set. Now, when the RBA adjusts interest rates up or down, you'll get a letter from your bank and they'll say, here's what the new calculation will be that calibrates that loan finishing on that 30-year loan term. Now, of course, if we've got money that we use in offset, that loan term still saves that period of time, but we get to fast track, the debt payment down. All right. So to finish off that question for Tom, let's say you did have money in offset for a good 5-year period and it was a meaningful amount, then technically you would be in advance on the amount of principal that you've paid. And so that's what I was saying before about recalibrating that. If you want to reduce your cash, the repayments to a lower level, and you can potentially negotiate that with your bank as part of that story.